The morning sun rose gently over a quiet suburban neighborhood in the heart of the United States. The streets were lined with modest homes, manicured lawns, and trees just beginning to blush with the first signs of spring. Birds chirped, their songs weaving through the air, while neighbors exchanged greetings during their morning walks. It was the kind of day where life seemed ordinary, predictable, and safe. Children's laughter echoed from the local playground, a familiar sound that gave the community its comforting rhythm. Yet, on this particular morning, ordinary would give way to extraordinary. Mother Sarah adjusted the strap of the tiny pink backpack on her daughter's shoulders as they approached the park. Was 3, a delicate figure with a crown of chestnut curls bouncing as she walked, and eyes wide with curiosity and wonder. From the moment she could toddle across the living room floor, had been fearless, drawn to the unknown, eager to explore. Sarah had often marveled at her daughter's bravery, a rare quality in such a tiny human, though she also worried constantly about the risks that naturally came with such boldness. Today, that bravery would be put to a test far greater than any scraped knee or tumble from the slide. Across the park, a commotion was already beginning to stir. Officer Daniels, a veteran of the police department, had arrived early to set up for the scheduled K9 demonstration. His partner, Rex, a massive German shepherd, was alert, muscles rippling beneath his sleek coat, tail stiff in anticipation. Rex was not a pet. He was a trained officer, conditioned to obey commands with precision, ready to respond to threats with swiftness and power. For most children, standing near such a dog would inspire fear, a natural reaction to the raw intensity of a creature trained for law enforcement. Families began gathering in the park, excited for the demonstration. Signs had been posted in advance, promising a fun and educational morning where children could learn about the work of police dogs. Strollers lined the grass like parked cars, and parents chatted animatedly about the expected crowd. Children, still sleepy-eyed from the morning routine, clutched snacks or toys, some skipping ahead toward the benches near the demonstration area. Among them walked steadily, holding her mother's hand, eyes darting toward the officers and Rex with a mixture of curiosity and recognition. She had never met Rex before, but she had grown up around dogs at home, and the sight of a canine companion always made her heart beat faster with excitement. As the crowd formed, Officer Daniels began to speak into a microphone, explaining the day's activities. He described the training of K9 units, the importance of commands, and the bravery required of police dogs in dangerous situations. Rex stood at attention beside him, ears perked, watching the crowd with sharp, intelligent eyes. Children gasped as he growled softly on command, a controlled sound that demonstrated his readiness without any real threat. Most of them stepped back instinctively, gripping their parents' hands, their wide eyes reflecting a blend of fear and fascination. However, did not step back. She walked closer, her little feet making soft thuds against the grass. Sarah's heart leapt into her throat. "Be careful," she whispered, tightening her grip on her daughter's hand. But's expression was calm, determined. She tilted her head slightly, observing Rex not with fear but with an almost intuitive understanding. It was a look Sarah had seen before when interacted with the family dog at home. Had a rare gift, a way of connecting with animals that seemed beyond her years. Officer Daniels noticed the small figure approaching Rex and instinctively reached for the leash. "Mom, I'm not scared," said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. The words were so small, yet there was a confidence behind them that made everyone around pause. The crowd, sensing that something unusual was unfolding, began to murmur among themselves. Stopped a few feet from Rex, her gaze locked with his. The dog shifted slightly but remained poised, muscles coiled yet obedient. Sarah's mind raced. She had taught basic safety around dogs, emphasizing calmness and gentle movements, but she had never imagined a situation like this. "Stay close to me," she murmured again, though her voice trembled slightly. Simply nodded, her attention entirely on Rex. The park had fallen into a hush, a collective anticipation hanging in the air. Even the birds seemed to pause their singing, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Rex's ears twitched as raised her tiny hand slightly, a gesture so subtle that most adults would have missed it. Officer Daniels looked at her with a mix of awe and apprehension. "Is she really going to?" he muttered under his breath, eyes locked on the toddler. Oblivious to the tension, took one more step forward, small but deliberate, closing the distance between herself and the imposing police dog. She stopped just far enough to avoid contact, but close enough that Rex could sense her energy, her calm, her unshakable confidence. The crowd shifted uneasily. Parents exchanged nervous glances, whispering warnings and encouragements. Some tried to call back, but the words seemed to vanish before reaching her ears. She was entirely absorbed in the moment, focused on Rex in a way that her age. Her small chest rose and fell steadily, her tiny hand held in a loose fist at her side. There was no fear, only curiosity and determination, a rare combination that made the scene almost surreal. Then, almost imperceptibly, spoke. Her voice was soft, measured, and deliberate, two words that would stop time in the park. Every adult's head turned toward her, every eye following the small figure who dared to confront the trained police dog with nothing but calm and courage. Even Rex's ears twitched, as if recognizing the significance of the sound. It was a moment charged with anticipation, the quiet before a storm, the instant before the ordinary became extraordinary. The two words, though small, carried a weight no one could have predicted. In that moment was not just a 3-year-old girl in a crowd. She was the center of attention, the focal point of a story that was about to ripple far beyond the park. Sarah's heart pounded as she watched, a mixture of pride, fear, and wonder washing over her. The scene would be captured forever by the phones of onlookers, the memory immortalized in the minds of those present, and soon, in the hearts of people around the world. And in that serene suburban park on that ordinary spring morning, a tiny girl's bravery was about to challenge the expectations of everyone watching. What happened next would not only astonish the crowd, it would spark a story that the world could not ignore. Fearless and focused, stood poised on the edge of an unforgettable moment, ready to speak, ready to act, and ready to change the day, and perhaps the lives of countless strangers. Forever, the crowd had gone silent. All attention was on a tiny 3-year-old standing mere feet from Rex, the powerful police dog. The murmurs of parents and children faded into a tense hush. Even the rustling leaves seemed to hold their breath. Tilted her head slightly, studying Rex with a curiosity that seemed far beyond her years. She didn't flinch at his size, his teeth, or the strength coiled beneath his sleek black and tan coat. Most children would have run screaming, but not. There was a calm determination in her posture, a quiet courage that drew the gaze of every adult nearby. Officer Daniels felt a mix of awe and anxiety. "Stay back, everyone," he muttered under his breath, keeping one hand on Rex's leash. He had worked with K-9 units for over a decade, but nothing had prepared him for this. A toddler barely 3 was standing within striking distance of one of the most trained and obedient dogs in the department. Every muscle in Rex's body was alert. The dog's eyes were sharp, intelligent, scanning, sensing the unusual energy radiating from her. And yet there was no aggression in his stance. Lifted her small hand slightly, a gesture so subtle that it would have gone unnoticed if not for the intensity of the moment. The crowd leaned in instinctively, as if the slightest movement might trigger an unpredictable reaction. Parents gripped their children's hands more tightly, some shielding their eyes, unsure if this was courage or recklessness. Sarah's heart hammered against her chest. She wanted to call back, but some inner force seemed to keep her daughter rooted to the spot, confident and calm. A soft, deliberate whisper came from his lips. "Sit, Rex." The words were tiny, almost lost among the collective gasps of the onlookers, but Rex reacted instantly. His ears twitched. Muscles rippled under his fur as he shifted his weight, then with perfect obedience he lowered himself to the ground, sitting squarely in place. A ripple of astonishment swept through the crowd. People clutched each other, jaws dropped, and cameras went up to capture the miracle in motion. Phones recorded the scene from every angle, ensuring the moment would not just be remembered, it would be shared with the world. Officer Daniels froze. He had trained Rex for every conceivable scenario. Commands shouted across chaos, threats in dark alleys, suspect apprehensions, but never had the dog obeyed a stranger, let alone a toddler. He bent down slightly, eyes wide, examining as if trying to understand how this had happened. The girl looked up at him, calm, composed, smiling faintly as though she had performed a simple task she did every day. The contrast between her innocence and the sheer power of Rex made the crowd even more captivated. Whispers erupted. "Did she just command the dog?" one parent murmured. "How is that possible?" another asked. Children, emboldened by his bravery, began pointing excitedly, asking their parents if they could try too. Sarah held tightly, a mixture of pride and fear washing over her. She had taught her daughter about animals, but this was extraordinary. Calmness, her ability to connect with Rex, and the dog's immediate obedience made the moment surreal, almost magical. As Rex remained seated, his gaze never leaving, Officer Daniels approached cautiously. "She's incredible," he said quietly, more to himself than anyone else. Looked up at him, her head tilted, brown eyes reflecting both curiosity and a strange wisdom for someone so young. "Sit, Rex," she repeated, this time with even more confidence. Rex's tail wagged slightly in acknowledgement, a subtle sign of trust and recognition. The bond between them, instantaneous and undeniable, left the audience awestruck. The viral potential of the moment became apparent immediately. Phones were raised, capturing the tiny girl and the massive dog in perfect harmony. The scene was framed like a photograph of bravery itself, innocence meeting raw power, trust meeting training, child meeting K9 officer. Oblivious to the chaos she had created, smiled faintly, proud yet completely natural, unaware of the extraordinary attention she was garnering. Her mother whispered, "Sweetheart, you're amazing." But's focus remained on Rex. Rex, though highly trained, seemed to sense the calm authority in his demeanor. There was no hesitation, no tension, only a perfect understanding between the two. Officer Daniels, realizing this, slowly released a fraction of the tension in the leash. He watched closely as the crowd held its breath, witnessing something that expectations. Children giggled nervously, some applauding, while adults murmured in disbelief. Actions were not just remarkable, they were unprecedented in the officer's years of experience. As the demonstration continued, his presence transformed it entirely. The audience had come to see a routine police dog show. Instead, they were witnessing a story of courage, trust, and extraordinary connection. Reporters in the crowd began scribbling notes, neighbors whispered excitedly, and phone videos began their journey across social media. Within hours, the clip of commanding Rex would be shared worldwide, captivating millions and inspiring countless discussions about bravery, human-animal bonds, and the uncanny abilities of children. Sarah, still holding her daughter, allowed herself a small sigh of relief, had remained perfectly calm, displaying a level of composure that left everyone, including seasoned officers, astonished. Her tiny hand rested gently on Rex's fur, a gesture of friendship and trust that transcended words. Had faced a challenge most adults would hesitate to confront, and she had done so with confidence, empathy, and remarkable intuition. The moment was a testament to the quiet power of observation, patience, and the natural bond between humans and animals. Even the other children in the crowd felt inspired. Some tentatively approached Rex under parental supervision, mimicking his calm gestures. His bravery had shifted the atmosphere of the entire demonstration, turning what was meant to be a routine event into a spectacle of human courage and animal understanding. Officer Daniels, though initially concerned, began to smile, realizing that this encounter, so improbable, had created a memory that the community would cherish forever. And as the sun climbed higher into the morning sky, the crowd, the officers, and Sarah all understood that something extraordinary had happened. A 3-year-old girl had faced a trained police dog, spoken 2 words, and created a moment that transcended ordinary life. It was the kind of event that would be remembered, shared, and celebrated, not because of spectacle, but because of courage, connection, and the remarkable intuition of a tiny child who had the bravery to step forward when the world expected her to step back. The park was silent, save for the rustle of leaves and the soft whimpers of children sensing the tension in the air. Every pair of eyes was fixed on, standing bravely just a few feet from Rex, the police dog whose sheer size could intimidate adults. Her tiny voice, clear and confident, broke the quiet. "Sit, Rex." The words were soft, almost fragile, yet they carried a weight that stunned everyone present. The dog froze, his massive body tense, ears alert, eyes flicking toward the speaker. Then, without hesitation, Rex obeyed. He lowered his muscular frame gracefully, settling onto the grass in a perfect sitting position. It was a flawless display of obedience, executed immediately, and it left the audience frozen in awe. Parents gasped, shielding their children's eyes and clutching their hands. Did she just command the dog?" Someone whispered, disbelief coloring their tone. Others murmured about luck, coincidence, or instinct. But Officer Daniels knew better. He had trained Rex for over a decade. The dog obeyed commands from professionals, from officers who had spent months earning his trust. And yet here was a toddler, tiny and innocent, speaking with such authority that Rex responded without hesitation. Sarah's heart pounded against her ribs. She wanted to rush forward to scoop into her arms, but she also felt a deep surge of pride. Her daughter had faced a challenge that would terrify many adults and had done so without fear. His calm, composed expression showed no hint of anxiety, no shadow of doubt. It was as if she instinctively understood Rex in a way that no one else could. Cameras clicked and phones recorded. Every angle of the encounter was captured by onlookers, each frame a study in contrast. Tiny and delicate, her hands slightly raised, her eyes bright and steady, facing Rex, a creature trained for precision, power, and obedience. The image was surreal, a visual story of courage, trust, and connection. Within moments, the first videos began to appear on social media, the startling scene spreading across the internet like wildfire. His calmness was mesmerizing. She knelt slightly to meet Rex at eye level, her hand hovering just above his broad head. "Good boy," she whispered, her voice steady, confident, yet filled with the innocence only a child could possess. Rex wagged his tail slightly in response, a subtle acknowledgement of the bond forming between them. Officer Daniels, now standing nearby, could hardly believe what he was witnessing. The dog had never obeyed anyone so immediately, and certainly not someone so young. The crowd began to murmur, slowly turning into applause. Children giggled nervously, inspired by his bravery. "I want to try," shouted a small boy, stepping forward under the watchful eye of his mother. Yet, even as others attempted to mimic her calm, remained the center of attention. Her composure, bravery, and natural authority had transformed the ordinary demonstration into something extraordinary. Every person in the park felt the unique energy radiating from the 3-year-old girl. Reporters from the local news station, who had arrived for the scheduled K9 demonstration, quickly realized that this was no ordinary story. Phones were already uploading footage online, and the clip of commanding Rex would soon be seen by thousands, then millions. One reporter muttered into his microphone, "This is incredible, a toddler just controlled a fully trained police dog." The news anchor on the live feed could barely contain excitement as the viral potential of the footage became immediately apparent. Officer Daniels cautiously approached. "Sweetheart, that was amazing," he said, bending down to her level. Looked up at him, her big brown eyes shining with quiet pride. She tilted her head, slightly puzzled, as though she had done nothing extraordinary. "Rex listens," she said matter-of-factly, her voice small but firm. Daniels exchanged a glance with Sarah, who could only nod, a mixture of awe and nervousness washing over her. The neighborhood erupted into excitement. People began discussing in hushed tones, some in disbelief, others inspired. Mothers whispered to one another about how calm and fearless the child was. Fathers shook their heads, muttering, "I can't believe it, she's only 3." Children, emboldened by her courage, stepped closer to Rex, though always under careful parental supervision. had not just faced a dog, she had become a symbol of bravery and composure for everyone present. Phones buzzed with notifications as videos were uploaded to social media. Within minutes, the clip of commanding Rex had garnered thousands of views. Comments poured in, astonishment, admiration, and curiosity. How could a toddler communicate with a trained police dog so effectively? Theories emerged, ranging from innate talent to coincidence to some inexplicable bond. Yet those who knew's family were not surprised. Had grown up surrounded by animals, observing commands, learning patience, and understanding canine behavior in ways that far exceeded her years. Sarah held close as the crowd's attention swirled around them. She whispered softly, "Honey, you're incredible." Still focused on Rex, shrugged, her expression innocent and unconcerned. She was not seeking applause, nor did she understand the magnitude of the moment. For her, it was simply a dog she trusted, a task she could perform, a connection she felt naturally. And yet, in that brief, fleeting moment, the world outside the park had begun to take notice. Officer Daniels, still gripping Rex's leash lightly, finally allowed himself a small smile. He had trained hundreds of individuals in proper K-9 interaction, but nothing could prepare anyone for this. His intuition, patience, and calm presence had allowed her to accomplish what even experienced adults might hesitate to try. "That's a special girl," he muttered, glancing at Sarah. "And Rex, he's just as extraordinary for trusting her." The children in the crowd began to whisper excitedly among themselves, trying to understand what they had witnessed. Had demonstrated a rare courage, one that transcended age and size. Adults spoke in hushed tones, marveling at the scene. The entire park felt transformed. What was supposed to be a routine demonstration had become a story of connection, bravery, and the inexplicable power of trust between a child and an animal. By the time the demonstration ended, had captivated everyone present. Rex obediently returned to Officer Daniels' side, but the memory of her calm authority lingered in the air. The footage captured that brief, astonishing interaction, and within hours, the video would be shared far beyond the neighborhood. Local news, social media, and eventually national outlets would pick up the story. Completely unaware of the attention she had generated, simply skipped happily beside her mother, clutching her small hand, leaving behind an audience still in awe of her courage and composure. That day marked the beginning of something extraordinary. A tiny 3-year-old girl had faced a fully trained police dog and commanded him with 2 words. Her courage, calmness, and natural understanding of Rex had created a moment that would ripple far beyond the park, inspiring those who watched and sparking a viral phenomenon. In the hearts of everyone present, the scene was etched as a testament to bravery, trust, and the incredible power of innocence meeting skill. And as the sun climbed higher, casting golden light across park, the world unknowingly began to witness the start of this remarkable journey, a journey defined not by her age, but by her courage, her calm, and the astonishing bond she shared with a dog trained to obey the most experienced handlers. By noon, the neighborhood had transformed into a buzzing hive of curiosity and excitement. The once quiet streets now hummed with conversations about the tiny girl who had faced Rex, the police dog, and commanded him with only 2 words. Phones continued to buzz relentlessly as videos of the encounter spread rapidly across social media. Clips showing, calm and confident, kneeling before Rex went viral within hours. Thousands of people were sharing, commenting, and marveling at the impossible scene. News outlets were already scrambling to confirm the story. How could a 3-year-old achieve such a feat? Local reporters arrived in droves, cameras slung over shoulders, microphones in hand, eager to speak to family and Officer Daniels. Parents clutched their children, some laughing nervously, others whispering in disbelief, sharing the story as if it were folklore suddenly come to life. Meanwhile, was unaware of her newfound fame. She skipped happily beside her mother, occasionally glancing at Rex with the same calm curiosity she had displayed during the demonstration. For her, the day was still ordinary, filled with dogs, sunshine, and gentle applause from adults who had witnessed something extraordinary. Officer Daniels found himself at the center of the growing media attention. He gave careful statements, recounting the day's events as best he could. Rex obeyed commands instantly, he said, his voice tinged with awe. I've worked with this dog for years, trained him extensively, and he has never responded to anyone outside of our K-9 unit with such precision. And yet this little girl, she spoke 2 words and he listened immediately. It's something I've never seen before. Journalists scribbled furiously, knowing they had stumbled upon a story that would captivate readers nationwide. Meanwhile, curiosity about its background intensified. Social media users began speculating. Did she have some secret training? Was it luck or coincidence? Could a toddler possess an innate understanding of animals that adults lacked? Questions and attention from the public only grew. For parents, this sudden fame was overwhelming. They had always nurtured her curiosity and love for animals, but never anticipated their daughter becoming an overnight sensation. Every phone notification felt like a drumbeat echoing through the house, each one demanding explanations they weren't ready to provide. Father Michael eventually stepped forward to clarify part of the mystery. Has grown up around dogs, he explained in a calm, measured tone during a local interview. We've always encouraged her to interact with animals safely, teaching her commands, patience, and understanding. But even we didn't expect her to connect with Rex the way she did today. She's a remarkable child, but it wasn't magic. It was trust, observation, and her natural calmness. His words reassured some, but only deepened the intrigue for others, who wondered how such a small child could exhibit such authority. Local authorities also weighed in, emphasizing the importance of safety. Police officers reminded the public that the experience was unique and not something to imitate casually. Still, her bravery inspired people. Social media became flooded with comments praising her courage. Videos of children nervously interacting with family pets began circulating, with parents encouraging kindness, patience, and respect. Unwittingly, had sparked a movement, not just about bravery, but about the human-animal bond and the extraordinary potential even very young children could demonstrate when nurtured properly. As the day progressed, residents couldn't stop talking about. Friends, neighbors, and even strangers visiting the park shared the story, each retelling adding layers of wonder. I've seen brave kids, one parent said, shaking her head, but never anything like this. She wasn't scared, she just understood him. Children whispered excitedly, imagining themselves commanding a powerful dog with a simple word. The viral video wasn't just entertainment. It had become a conversation about courage, empathy, and the possibilities of human intuition. Social media's global reach began to show its power. Within hours, international news picked up the clip, highlighting a tiny girl whose bravery had captured hearts worldwide. News anchors replayed the footage multiple times, analyzing every detail: her posture, her calm gaze, the subtle confidence in her voice. Experts in child development weighed in, explaining how early exposure to animals could foster empathy, courage, and emotional intelligence. Animal behaviorists marveled at Rex's immediate obedience, emphasizing that a dog responds not only to commands, but to energy, intent, and calmness, qualities exhibited in abundance. Amid the frenzy, parents made careful decisions to protect her. They limited interviews, ensured her safety, and reminded everyone that she was still just a child. Sarah reflected quietly on the morning, amazed at how quickly ordinary life had shifted. She's just our little girl, she thought, but the world has already seen her in a way I never could have imagined. Despite the media storm, remained blissfully unaware of the attention she had generated, focused instead on simple joys: sunlight, Rex's presence, and the gentle touch of her mother's hand. Officer Daniels, now speaking more freely, revealed further details about Rex's response. Rex can sense energy and intent, he explained to reporters. Most dogs respond only to training and familiarity. Didn't just give a command. She radiated confidence, calmness, and understanding. That's why he obeyed instantly. It's a remarkable example of how even young children can communicate with animals when they possess patience, trust, and awareness. It was extraordinary to witness. The explanation offered insight, but did little to diminish the awe felt by those who had watched the interaction unfold. By evening had become a hub of fascination. Neighbors exchanged stories, video clips circulated endlessly, and reporters lined up for interviews. Bravery was not only celebrated but dissected, studied, and admired. Social media posts praised her courage, while experts explained how children's emotional intelligence could manifest in astonishing ways. The narrative shifted from mere viral content to a discussion about early childhood development, empathy, and the extraordinary bonds humans can form with animals. Unaware of her celebrity status, had unwittingly become a teacher, role model, and inspiration to millions. The night settled over, but the story did not end there. News channels replayed the footage. The internet buzzed with comments and shares, and global audiences marveled at a tiny girl who had faced a trained police dog and commanded him with nothing but two simple words. Exhausted from the excitement yet still curious and happy, slept peacefully that night, dreaming of dogs, sunlight, and new adventures. Her parents reflected on the whirlwind day, grateful for her safety and awed by her courage. What had begun as a routine police dog demonstration had evolved into a phenomenon. Presence, bravery, and connection with Rex had captivated an entire community, and then a world. She had turned ordinary moments into extraordinary lessons about trust, courage, and empathy. And as the stars emerged above, the viral story of a 3-year-old girl and a police dog was just beginning, destined to inspire countless people and to remind everyone that bravery and connection are not determined by age, size, or expectation. They are determined by heart. The morning after the demonstration, quiet streets were alive with chatter, laughter, and astonishment. News of Sin encounter with Rex had spread far beyond the park, drawing neighbors, local reporters, and curious visitors eager to glimpse the tiny girl who had captivated a nation. Children ran around excitedly, retelling the story in their own words, some exaggerating Rex's size, others describing as a mini superhero. Parents discussed the remarkable courage displayed by a 3-year-old, shaking their heads in disbelief. The community had shifted overnight, from ordinary suburbia to a place of awe, inspiration, and intense curiosity. Sarah and Michael's parents walked beside her through the park, holding hands and guiding her carefully. Though remained blissfully unaware of the magnitude of her newfound fame, her parents were acutely aware. Cameras from news crews occasionally peeked from behind trees, while reporters asked for brief statements. Sarah gently reminded her daughter, "Stay close, sweetheart. We're just going for a walk," nodded obediently, glancing at Rex with the same calm curiosity she had displayed the day before. To Rex was a friend, not a symbol of viral fame. The park quickly became a hub of excitement. Local residents brought their children to witness and Rex together. Some families brought their own pets, hopping to recreate even a fraction of the magical connection had demonstrated. Officer Daniels oversaw the interactions, ensuring safety while marveling at its natural ability to communicate with animals. Parents whispered to each other, wondering how a toddler could exhibit such intuition, patience, and calm authority. Had become an unofficial teacher, guiding everyone, adults, children, and dogs alike, without even realizing it. Social media continued to amplify the story. Videos of commanding Rex went viral worldwide, shared by parents, news outlets, and animal lovers alike. Hashtags like the Brave and Toddleran dog surged in popularity, garnering millions of views in hours. People from distant states posted videos of their children attempting to mimic her calm demeanor, while experts commented on the psychological and emotional intelligence had displayed. What had begun as a simple park demonstration had evolved into a global conversation about trust, bravery, and the incredible potential of young children. As parents found themselves navigating an entirely new world of attention, They carefully balanced protecting their daughter's privacy with the overwhelming interest from the public. Sarah realized that whilst bravery had inspired millions, her daughter was still just 3 years old, with the needs of any child: naps, playtime, and gentle guidance. Michael, too, focused on keeping grounded, encouraging her natural curiosity while shielding her from excessive attention. They knew the story was extraordinary, but their priority remained their child's safety and happiness. Meanwhile, Officer Daniels arranged a small demonstration for local families, letting interact with Rex in a controlled environment. Children and parents alike watched in amazement as calmly knelt beside the dog, issuing gentle commands and guiding him with authority and trust. Rex responded with flawless obedience, and the bond between child and animal inspired awe. Children who had been timid around dogs began to mimic calm gestures, and parents marveled at her ability to teach by example. It was not just a demonstration of skill, it was a lesson in empathy, patience, and courage. Local media outlets interviewed neighbors and bystanders, capturing the community's reaction. "I've lived here for 20 years, one parent said, "and I've never seen anything like this. She's tiny but fearless, and Rex, well, he listens to her. It's incredible." Another commented on how calm presence had transformed the atmosphere in the park, turning what could have been a simple dog demonstration into an unforgettable event. The community had become part of a story that transcended local boundaries, a story that inspired admiration and curiosity far beyond. Of course, remained mostly unaware of the attention. Her days were still filled with simple joys: playing with toys, exploring her backyard, and spending time with Rex. Yet the impact of her bravery rippled through the neighborhood. Children began looking up to her, seeing her not just as a peer, but as an example of calm courage. Parents reflected on how a small act of bravery could inspire confidence in others. His presence had awakened a sense of wonder and possibility in the hearts of the community, reminding everyone that courage can come from the smallest and most unexpected places. Even as news crews and reporters descended, Sarah and Michael carefully managed each interaction. They encouraged to share her simple acts of kindness and bravery, emphasizing lessons rather than fame. His influence was subtle but profound. Children practiced patience, observed animals carefully, and learned that trust could achieve results where force or fear could not. The community had become a classroom, the unintentional teacher, and the lessons were already spreading beyond the park. By evening, Park had become a place of storytelling. Neighbors shared experiences, children recounted its bravery to friends, and adults marveled at the courage of a toddler who had faced a fully trained police dog. Social media continued to buzz, videos circulated, and discussions about child development, courage, and the human-animal bond reached experts and enthusiasts worldwide. Had become a symbol, not of fame, but of possibility, trust, and the extraordinary things even the smallest among us can accomplish. The day concluded with a quiet moment for and her parents. She sat beside Rex under a sprawling oak tree, gently patting his head. Sarah whispered, "You're amazing," and for a moment simply smiled, unaware of the global attention she had inspired. The community, meanwhile, reflected on the day's events, realizing they had witnessed something remarkable. His bravery, calmness, and natural connection with Rex had transformed their neighborhood, creating a story that would be told for years to come. And as night fell over, the park slowly emptied, but the energy remained. Conversations about courage, Rex's obedience, and the lessons of patience and trust continued in homes across the neighborhood. Exhausted from the excitement, slept peacefully, dreaming of dogs, sunshine, and new adventures. The world had already begun to notice, but for her, life remained simple, innocent, and full of wonder. She had faced a challenge, inspired a community, and demonstrated that courage and trust can transcend age, size, and expectation. As the days passed, the buzz around his encounter with Rex only grew stronger. Social media was ablaze with views, shares, and countless comments marveling at the tiny girl's bravery. Experts speculated about her mysterious ability to command a fully trained police dog with just 2 words. Was it luck? Was it instinct, or was there some deeper, hidden connection? Michael and Sarah knew the answer, and for the first time, they began sharing pieces of the story behind's remarkable moment. The truth was rooted not in magic or coincidence, but in years of careful observation and gentle guidance. Had been immersed in the world of dogs from the moment she could crawl. Michael, a retired K-9 handler, had spent his career training police dogs and teaching handlers how to communicate effectively with them. Even after retirement, he continued his work with local animal organizations, often bringing along. She had grown up watching commands given, observing body language, and learning patience, empathy, and trust, skills she absorbed naturally. From toddlerhood, had shown an unusual calmness around animals. While most children shrieked or ran from energetic dogs, would kneel beside them, studying their movements with curiosity. She instinctively mirrored calm energy, soft gestures, and steady breathing, all subtle cues that influence canine behavior. Michael and Sarah realized early on that had a rare gift, the ability to communicate not only through words but through presence and intent. Her connection with animals was intuitive, a combination of observation, trust, and a natural sense of authority that even adults found astonishing. When the viral video of Rex spread globally, Michael finally decided to reveal the truth. In an interview with a national news outlet, he explained, "Didn't perform a trick. She hasn't been trained to command Rex specifically. What she did is a combination of exposure, observation, and instinct. She's learned from being around dogs since birth, watching, listening, understanding. Rex responded not because she's magical, but because she exuded calmness and confidence. Dogs sense energy. Energy told him there was nothing to fear and that she could be trusted." Officer Daniels, who had initially been skeptical, now fully understood the significance. "I've worked with Rex for years," he said during the same interview, "and no one has ever commanded him like that, not adults, not handlers, not anyone. And yet here's this tiny child, calm, confident, patient, and Rex obeys instantly. It's not just obedience, it's connection. It's something you can't teach overnight. It's instinct, observation, and trust combined. That's what makes this moment extraordinary." Experts in child development quickly joined the conversation. Psychologists and animal behaviorists explained how early exposure to environments like the one experienced can foster empathy, emotional intelligence, and confidence. Children who observe and interact with animals in safe, guided ways often develop remarkable social skills, heightened awareness, and problem-solving abilities. This case became a textbook example of how nurturing, patience, and exposure can reveal extraordinary potential, even in the youngest of children. Meanwhile, the public continued to be captivated. Parents shared stories of their children trying to emulate calm gestures, often bringing their own pets to practice gentle commands. Schools organized demonstrations emphasizing safety, patience, and empathy toward animals. This viral fame was no longer just about a toddler commanding a dog. It became a story of learning, inspiration, and the powerful bond between humans and animals. Communities everywhere began incorporating similar lessons into educational programs. Back-in remained blissfully unaware of her influence. To her, Rex was a friend, and the world beyond her family's care seemed distant and abstract. She continued her days playing, exploring, and learning, her innocence untouched by viral attention. Sarah reflected on the delicate balance of nurturing extraordinary abilities while allowing her a normal childhood. "She's amazing," Sarah said quietly, "but she's still just our little girl. Fame doesn't matter. Safety, joy, and curiosity come first." The viral video also sparked deeper discussions within the police department. Officer Daniels began working with Michael to explore ways to enhance K-9 training programs by incorporating the principles naturally demonstrated. Calm presence, patient communication, and subtle cues, skills often overlooked in traditional training, had been modeled perfectly by a 3-year-old. Her influence began to reshape thinking around how humans interact with trained animals. emphasizing connection and understanding over mere command and obedience. Even as the global conversation continued, Michael and Sarah took careful steps to protect from overexposure. Interviews were limited, appearances were brief, and they emphasized the importance of play, exploration, and learning in her daily routine. Remained grounded, her natural curiosity and love of animals undiminished by her newfound fame. For her, the world was still filled with sunshine, gentle dogs, and the simple joy of being a child. As the truth emerged, the public response shifted from astonishment to admiration. People celebrated not only her bravery but also the intentional, loving guidance that allowed her to thrive. She had not acted in isolation. Her parents, careful nurturing, her exposure to dogs, and her natural empathy had combined to create a moment of pure inspiration. Experts praised the story as a model of parenting, education, and child development, demonstrating how trust, patience, and guidance could unlock remarkable potential. By the end of the week, had become a symbol of what careful nurturing and natural talent could achieve. Social media buzzed not just with admiration but with reflection on the lessons her story offered. Parents, educators, and animal trainers alike discussed the principles it embodied: calmness, patience, trust, and observation. The viral fame was no longer a spectacle. It had transformed into a case study in courage, empathy, and connection. And so, story continued to unfold. A 3-year-old girl had faced a massive police dog, spoken 2 words, and created a moment of global fascination. But beyond the viral fame, the deeper truth had emerged. Her bravery and connection were the product of love, exposure, and intuition. Had inspired the world not because she was magical, but because she embodied qualities that anyone, nurtured correctly, could develop. Calmness, confidence, empathy, and trust. These were the real lessons of her extraordinary moment. Life slowly returned to its quiet rhythm. Yet the park remained alive with stories of Rex and the unforgettable day they had captivated hearts everywhere. Children practiced patience, parents marveled at empathy, and communities began integrating lessons inspired by calm courage. What had begun as a simple K9 demonstration had evolved into a story of education, inspiration, and the incredible bond between humans and animals. And as slept that night, dreaming of sunlit fields and playful dogs, the world outside continued to marvel. The truth had emerged, transforming astonishment into understanding. A tiny girl's bravery had sparked global admiration, not by magic, but by observation, nurture, and the remarkable capacity of a child to connect with the world around her. As news of this encounter with Rex continued to circulate, the impact went far beyond. Schools, community centers, and animal organizations across the United States began referencing the story as a model of courage, empathy, and human-animal connection. Teachers used the video to illustrate patience and calmness, explaining to students how trust and observation could unlock abilities often overlooked in daily life. Children learned that size and age didn't determine bravery. Intent, calm presence, and understanding did. Though unaware of the formal lessons inspired by her actions, became a symbol of quiet courage and connection. Experts analyzed her behavior in detail. Psychologists pointed out that early exposure to animals had allowed her to develop a keen sense of empathy and emotional intelligence, even at 3 years old. Animal behaviorists emphasized how her calm energy influenced Rex, demonstrating principles that could enhance K9 training programs nationwide. Officer Daniels, in collaboration with Michael, developed a seminar for law enforcement agencies on integrating patience and empathy into dog handling techniques. This brief moment of bravery had sparked a ripple effect, influencing both professional practices and educational methods. Locally embraced as a hero, community events were organized in the park where the encounter took place, celebrating her courage and teaching children about safety, kindness, and communication with animals. Families from neighboring towns visited, hopping to witness interacting with Rex or simply to experience the place where a tiny girl had inspired so many. Children practiced calm gestures, mimicked her gentle voice, and learned that patience and observation were powerful tools for connection. Its influence reached far beyond her immediate surroundings, affecting the lives of countless families. Media outlets highlighted the lessons she had unintentionally taught. Stories focused on bravery in small packages, the power of empathy, and the extraordinary potential hidden in ordinary children. Social media campaigns encouraged adults to nurture patience and observation in children, reminding parents that guidance and trust could unlock remarkable abilities. Story became more than a viral video. It evolved into a global conversation about the importance of fostering courage, understanding, and emotional intelligence from an early age. Meanwhile, herself continued to live a typical life for a 3-year-old. She played with friends in the yard, explored the neighborhood, and spent hours with Rex, practicing gentle commands and observing his movements. Though the world had watched her every action, she remained grounded, unaffected by fame, and fully immersed in the joys of childhood. Her parents carefully maintained this balance, ensuring that natural curiosity and love for animals were never overshadowed by external expectations. The viral fame had also brought opportunities for her to inspire in new ways. Animal shelters invited her to visit, teaching children how to interact gently with dogs and cats. Schools requested videos and stories of her calm demeanor to use in social-emotional learning programs. Communities recognized that bravery was not just about standing up to a large dog. It was about empathy, presence, and trust. Children were inspired not only to mimic her actions, but to understand the principles behind them. Officer Daniels reflected on the transformation. Initially concerned for safety, he had become a witness to something extraordinary. "She taught all of us a lesson," he said in a televised interview. "Bravery isn't always loud or physical. Sometimes it's quiet, steady, and gentle. She has shown that a child's courage can influence even the most trained animals. It's humbling, inspiring, and a reminder that patience and trust can achieve incredible things." His words resonated with viewers worldwide, further amplifying the story's impact. His parents continued to nurture her unique gift. They encouraged play, exploration, and observation while also guiding her interactions with other animals. The goal was not fame but growth, understanding, and joy. Sarah often reminded, bravery isn't about showing off. It's about being calm, kind, and trusting yourself. In her own quiet way, embodied these lessons effortlessly. Her actions were natural, yet they inspired people of all ages to reflect on how they approached courage, connection, and learning. Communities began to implement programs inspired by story. Children were taught to observe animals carefully, approach them with respect, and communicate with patience. Schools incorporated lessons in empathy, emotional intelligence, and the subtle ways human presence influences behavior. Animal trainers highlighted how children's calmness could affect even fully trained dogs. Had sparked not only a viral sensation, but also a movement emphasizing the importance of nurturing confidence, trust, and understanding from the earliest years of life. The global response continued to astonish her parents. Messages poured in from families, educators, and animal enthusiasts from countries far and wide. People shared stories of how bravery inspired them to foster patience and empathy in their own children. Social media campaigns encouraged kindness to animals and promoted awareness of how calm presence could lead to remarkable results. Two words had become a universal lesson. Small voices can have enormous impact when paired with courage, focus, and connection. By the end of the month, had embraced its newfound place in the spotlight. Remained the heart of this transformation, a small child whose simple act of bravery had united a community and inspired millions. Her influence continued to grow, not through performance or spectacle, but through the quiet strength of her presence, her patience, and her unwavering confidence in the face of a challenge. She had become a living example of the extraordinary potential that exists within every child when nurtured with love, guidance, and opportunity. As played with Rex under the afternoon sun, parents, teachers, and community leaders observed quietly, absorbing the lessons she demonstrated without knowing it. Her story, now more than a viral moment, had evolved into an enduring message of hope, bravery, and the transformative power of trust. The world watched, learned, and reflected, reminded that courage comes in many forms and often emerges in the most unexpected packages. And as night fell over, the neighborhood remained alive with stories, lessons, and inspiration sparked by a 3-year-old girl and a dog trained for law enforcement. Its influence continued to spread, teaching people of all ages that empathy, calmness, and confidence could achieve extraordinary results. Her small act of bravery had become a movement, a symbol of possibility, and a reminder that sometimes the simplest gestures can change the world. Months passed, but the story of Rex never faded from memory. Continued to celebrate the tiny girl who had faced a trained police dog with calm authority and 2 simple words. Her story, now a viral phenomenon, had become more than a fleeting moment. It had become a lesson in courage, empathy, and human-animal connection that inspired people around the world. News outlets revisited the footage, educational programs referenced her actions, and families everywhere shared the story with children as a model of bravery. Still 3 years old at the time, remained blissfully unaware of the fame she had inspired. To her, life was filled with sunshine, play, and Rex's loyal companionship. Yet her parents knew that her influence had grown far beyond. Messages continued to arrive daily, from educators, parents, and even police departments, praising the story and requesting guidance on teaching children the same calm confidence had demonstrated. She had unwittingly become a teacher, showing people that patience, observation, and trust could achieve remarkable results. The police department continued to study the viral encounter, recognizing its significance in K-9 training. Officer Daniels partnered with Michael to develop a program that incorporated the principles naturally demonstrated. Calm presence, gentle commands, and empathy became integral parts of training exercises, showing that the lessons from a 3-year-old could transform professional practices. This brief interaction with Rex had changed the way officers approached communication with dogs, highlighting the importance of connection, patience, and trust. Her influence reached beyond the community, impacting law enforcement and training programs nationwide. In schools, story became a staple in lessons on courage and emotional intelligence. Teachers used the video to illustrate the power of calm confidence, showing students that bravery did not always come from size, strength, or loud words. Instead, courage could manifest in quiet observation, gentle actions, and a composed presence. Children were inspired to approach challenges with patience, to think carefully before acting, and to recognize the impact of empathy and trust in every interaction. Had become a living example of these principles, and her story inspired discussions that went far beyond the classroom. Social media continued to celebrate bravery. Hashtags like The Brave trended globally, and millions of viewers commented on the remarkable bond between a child and a fully trained police dog. Animal lovers shared their admiration, parents reflected on the lessons for their own children, and educators discussed the deeper implications for early childhood development. Story had become timeless, a reminder that extraordinary courage often emerges in the most unexpected forms, and that the smallest among us can inspire the greatest change. As parents carefully guided her exposure to the public, ensuring her safety and well-being. They limited interviews and appearances, allowing her to remain grounded and focused on her natural curiosity. Michael and Sarah emphasized that true courage and empathy were not for show. They were ways of interacting with the world, fostering trust, and treating others with respect. Absorbed these lessons effortlessly, continuing to demonstrate patience, understanding, and bravery in her interactions with animals and people alike. Rex remained a constant companion and symbol of courage. The dog's loyalty, patience, and responsiveness had deepened over the months, reflecting the unique bond between child and animal. Whenever approached him, calm and confident, Rex responded immediately, whether following gentle commands or simply remaining by her side. Observers marveled at the trust between them, recognizing that their connection was not just obedience. It was friendship, understanding, and mutual respect. And Rex had created a bond that resonated with everyone who witnessed it. The world took notice of the larger lessons embedded in story. Courage was not defined by size or age, but by intent and presence. Empathy could transform interactions, whether between humans or animals. Trust was the key to connection, and even the smallest gestures, when guided by patience and calm confidence, could ripple outward to inspire millions. Two words, spoken without hesitation to a massive, trained police dog, had become a symbol of these principles, teaching people that bravery could be quiet, subtle, and profound. Its influence reached beyond her immediate community. International media covered the story, highlighting the extraordinary human-animal bond and the lessons it offered for children everywhere. Families shared the video, teachers used it in classrooms, and animal organizations referenced it in training programs. Had unwittingly sparked a movement that emphasized kindness, patience, and understanding as fundamental tools for success and connection. Her simple, calm bravery had shown that even a 3-year-old could teach the world an invaluable lesson. Despite the fame, remained a child in every sense. She played in the park, explored her neighborhood, and spent time with friends. But the memory of her encounter with Rex remained a defining moment, one she carried with quiet confidence. Her parents continued to nurture her gifts, guiding her with love, patience, and understanding. And while the world celebrated her courage, they ensured that life remained filled with joy, discovery, and the simple wonders of childhood. As grew, the story of that day in park remained an enduring legacy. She had faced a fully trained police dog with nothing but calm presence and 2 words, capturing the hearts of millions. Yet the true impact of her actions was deeper than any viral video or news clip. She had demonstrated that courage, empathy, and trust could transcend age, size, and expectation. She had inspired communities, influenced professionals, and taught a timeless lesson. The smallest acts, guided by intent and understanding, can change the world. And so, the story concluded not with an ending, but with a promise. His bravery and connection with Rex became a touchstone for generations, a lesson that courage is not always loud, and influence is not always measured in size. Remembered her as a tiny girl who had faced a great challenge and turned it into a story of inspiration. The world remembered her as a symbol of hope, empathy, and the extraordinary potential of children. In the quiet of her bedroom that night, fell asleep with Rex curled beside her. The viral attention, the lessons for the world, and the endless admiration were distant concepts, irrelevant to her 3-year-old mind. She dreamt of sunny fields, playful dogs, and gentle adventures, unaware of the lasting legacy she had already created. Outside, the stars shone over, a reminder that even the smallest among us can leave an indelible mark on the world, inspiring courage, connection, and hope for generations to come.